the priesthood. He was supposed to be the high priest, and yet they crucified him. And he was rendered common with the thieves on the cross. They considered him to be vile, disgusting, polluted, contaminated. Get this guy out of our face. So the story, this is one way that I read this, and it's like, I'm not trying to say any bad thing. I'm trying to read what Yahweh said. His people were scattered across the face of the earth, and they told the story of Jesus. But he also said, you contaminated and desecrated my Kadosh Shem. Remember, Shem is name, fame, noun, and reputation. And I was saying that the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet are the Shem of Yahweh Zavot. Incorporated into those letters are the meanings of the Sabbath day, the Moedim, his armies, his standing place, the place where he has presented himself. And if we know the meanings of these 22 letters, it's him. But in the name of this guy, otherwise known as JC, his day was done away with. His festivals were done away with. For 2,300 years, 7,000 times out of the scriptures, his name was done away with. And as we saw in the movie, The Lion Roars, his people were done away with. It's all a big lie. In the name of this guy, his Shem has been desecrated and lied about. Yahweh goes on to say, then the nations will know that I am Yahweh. This is still in front of us, apparently. Nam Yahweh, he stamps it with his signet ring. When I become sanctified through you before their eyes. That word sanctified is kadosh. He is saying, when you make my name kadosh, in their understanding, then I will light the thing up according to my Kadosh Shem, and I will make happen all the fabled stories of me championing you, being your champion, like you read about with your ancestors. That's my interpretation of this verse. When we start telling the truth about who Yahuwah is, in covenant with his people, according to the term, the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, honoring Yeshua as the HaMashiach, and I'll show you how he's in every 22 letters, then at that time, Yahweh will light this thing up. I will take you from among the nations and gather you from all the lands, and I will bring you to your own soil. Another way to read this is, I will catapult your promotion away from the place of terror. Think about that. We down here struggling, trying to make, in these videos, him comprehensible in the eyes of the people amongst whom we've been scattered, and all of a sudden he's going to step on this and launch us, catapulting us into a whole different regard. That's what these words say. That's what I choose to believe. And how do we do that? By gathering together at the Moed where he said to, and Vayikra. Learn how to read the words of Scripture, putting them on videos that go out to YouTube so that other people around the world can change their regard of his esteem according to the terms of the covenant that he made with his people, which is exactly the theme of what the guy was saying on the video, but he didn't quite go far enough. As Rad was saying, he went right up to it and then he stopped the movie. It's like, finish it, would you? No, that's what we're doing. We're finishing it. That's what this talk is all about. And then you go on to read. Then I will sprinkle pure water upon you that you may become cleansed. I will cleanse you from all your contamination, from all your idols. I will give you a new heart, put a new spirit within you, remove the heart of stone from your flesh, give you heart of flesh. I will put my spirit within you. I will make it so that you will follow my decrees and guard my ordinances and fulfill them. The Christian church doesn't do that. So this can't be talking about the Christian church. It means this hasn't happened yet. This isn't talking about the Jews. This is talking about the scattered tribes of Israel around the world. So this is what's in front of us, Ezekiel 36. You will dwell in the land that I gave your forefathers. That's the land over there in the Middle East. You will be a people to me, and I will be Elohim to you. I will save you from all your contaminations. I will summon the grain and increase it. I will not inflict famine upon you. I will increase the fruit of the tree and the produce of the field, so that you will no longer be subject to the shame of hunger among the nations. Then you will remember your evil ways and your deeds that were not good, and you will be disgusted with yourselves in your own sight because of your iniquities, because of your abominations. Not for your sake do I ask, Nam Yahweh, let this be known to you. Be embarrassed and ashamed of your ways, O house of Israel. He's talking to the 10 tribes. This very land which had been desolate has become like the Garden of Eden. People will say, verse 35, and the land, the ruined, desolate, and demolished cities have been fortified, inhabited. The nations that remain around you will know that I, Yahweh, have rebuilt the ruins, and I have replanted the wasteland. I, Yahuwah, have spoken, and I shall act. What part of that sounds like the tribulation? What part of that sounds like that we have to fear the fourth Shemitah cycle of devastation and famine and sword? Not Israel, who returns to the words of Yahweh Zavot. How much more hope can He give us? It's all right here.
It's all up to us.
It's all up to us. It's the Cohen's job. You feel like you're being called to that. Make it clear. You have to understand it's clear. So I'll give you one more thing in the Aleph Bet for this section here. Here's Yeshua in the Aleph Bet. Aleph Bet. You go to John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word. We haven't covered this exactly. I've talked about it, but how much time do we have left on the camera there?
49 minutes.
49 minutes. This won't take that long, I don't think. But here's the thing. I pose this as a riddle. I'll say it again for the sake of being on film here. John 1:1. It's a riddle. The question is, what is the Word? What is the Word he's referring to? That's the question of the riddle. In the beginning was the Word. Okay, so this Word existed, was created by Elohim before the heavens and the earth, and before He even begot Yeshua as His only begotten Son. This was before all that. He created a Word. The question is, what is the Word? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word is Elohim. The letter Aleph is. Remember, I am that I am, I will be what I will be. This is the is. This is first person, self-referential. Now, somebody else can say, Aleph is an ox. It's like, okay, we're not going to have that argument. We're going to go on and proceed. The words that start with Aleph pretty much are self-referential first person. The word ahava, Aleph, hey, bet, hey, is the word love. Hey, there's no first person self-referential there. It's just the word love. It starts with an Aleph. This hey, bet is the word that means to give, if you look that up. This is the expression of what's given, and this means I will. Love is manifesting what I will give. That's how this is broken down. The words for I am, ani, ati, anoki, eheye, there's 4 of them there. All start with the letter Aleph. So we're not going to deliberate that. First person self-referential. That means that the author of this alphabet was doing self-disclosure. This alphabet is a message from the creator of the alphabet. I am, I will, and now he's projecting a message. Bet. Who is he? We could say, who is this guy talking? He's the one who determined and established Bet, the heavens and the earth. So Bet is a house. It has to do with matter. So I, who am the creator of the heavens and the earth. The word spelled Ab is father. The word spelled Aleph Bet Hey means to have a desire or a passion of resistance against something. So it means to to want to do something or refuse energetically. So the word Ab is the Father, is the one who puts forth what's going to happen. Gimel is a letter with a foot. Dalet is number 4, and I said, I'm going to go kind of fast here, speaks of earth. Fourness. 4 seasons, 4 directions, earth, air, fire, water, 4 basic jurisdictions. They're not elements. It's kind of like Army, Navy, Air Force type of concept. This word baged, Bet Gimel Dalet, is to deceive, betray, to cloak, a garment of disguise, camouflage. So I could then read this, that the creator of the heavens and the earth, who set the whole thing in motion, is going to give himself a foot and travel to the earth. Now, for anybody who thinks that the almighty creator of heavens and the earth would not do that, let them argue with these 4 letters. I don't have time to discuss it. What do these 4 letters mean? That the creator of matter chose to put give himself a foot made of matter so that he can go and walk the earth? He says, heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool. Oh, well, earth is the place I put my feet up. You look at the definition of footstool, and it means the place you put your foot. Well, he's bodiless. He's a spirit. He doesn't have a foot. So he made himself a foot and put it on the earth as a place to put his foot. Isn't he who can do anything allowed to do that? Why then is a whole group of people saying the Almighty would never put himself in the material form and come and walk the earth? The first 4 letters say he was going to do that. So apparently those who know Hebrew enough to say that he would never do that don't know how to read Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, which says that's exactly what I'm going to do. Is that so hard to understand? You can choose to not believe it, in which case you could turn the video off and not watch it. Hey, this disguise, Bet Gimel Dalet, is going to look like a Vav man. And as we said before, Vav doesn't mean man, it means nail. Nail is a connector. Man is the one who is this connection between heaven and earth, and you can get into these other concepts. Man is this the 6th letter. Revelation says something about 666, the number of man, and you can make the connections, or you can argue about it and not believe it if you don't want to. Doesn't matter. He's going to reveal to man, this is number 7, the Zion, the weapon. The number 7 is Shavah, what also means to vow, or to swear a vow. To swear a vow, and it's an oath, and it's also the curse that you get if you don't keep the oath. So, he's going to give himself a foot to come down and walk the earth, and he's going to look like a man who's put to the weapon. So Yeshua was put to the weapon, the Roman weapons, the whip, the crown, the cross. But he also came here as this guy to show man, because man has broken the vow, he is going to do something right in here to show man the door of how to get back to the house of the Father. So here you can read this both directions. So when I say that the letters of the alphabet reveal the Messiah, then whether or not you think that this is the Jesus Christ character from 2,000 years ago, the message is still in here. It might be him, it might be somebody else if you don't want to believe it's him, but whoever this is, there's a message here that says he's going to come down here, be put to the weapon, but also come down here to show the man something about the vow. And then there's the letters Het, Tet, Yod. Well, this guy that was put to the weapon, and like I said the other day, when Pilate said, "Behold this man," the word spelled Zion Hey or Zion Aleph Tav is this. Which man? This man. So Pilate identified the Jesus Christ character as being the guy who they tore off his camouflage earth suit, and then they stuck him in a tomb, Tet is a fence. They rolled a big round rock in front of it, that's a Tet, and they put the Roman seal on it, Yod. Pilate validated for us, thank you Mr. Pilate, that this all was talking about that guy that lived 2,000 years ago. You have the next two letters, Kaf, Lamed, and then you have Mem, Nun. These letters, Mem, Nun, is where we get the word manna, and it means where? Or from where? And so when Nicodemus met him and said, we've been watching you and we think you come from heaven, because nobody can do the things you do unless he comes from heaven. And he was now going to talk to him about something, but what he stirred up was this question of where. So Nicodemus, which was part of the Sanhedrin, one of the elite Jewish rabbinical, Pharisaical guys, he kind of identified this same Jesus guy as this guy here. When they put him into the tomb, the word spelled Yod Kaf Lamed means to have the power and capacity to prevail, to contain it all, to succeed. Something about him, he has the power and capacity to contain it all and to do what? The interesting thing is that if you take off the Yod and you look at these three letters, Kaf Lamed Mem, Kalam, is kind of where we get the word calamity. Everything stops, everything's put to ruin. It means to be shamed and disgraced. So he who was thrown into the tomb in shame and disgrace still has the capacity to deal with it all. He's going to even deal with the shame and disgrace where everything looks like it's come to ruin, put to death, and even though Mem Nun means where, what's going on? From out of this place of being sunk into the depth of the earth, he is going to jump back out. Mem Nun. He said, here's Nun Samek, he said, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men to me. This is a reference of being lifted up on the cross back out here, but somehow he's going to be lifted up from inside. Mem is a womb, it's a covered place, a place. Mem also has to do with chaos, so something about him being thrown in the tomb is this chaotic destruction of his flesh, but somehow he's going to be lifted up from that. And if he be lifted up, he'll draw all men unto him. So there's two pictures, one being lifted up on the cross, and the other one being lifted up out of the tomb, out of this place of death. Samek Ayin has to do with, or Samek Ayin Pei is a picture of being branched and split like a manifold of division. It's a picture of the menorah. He said, I'm the vine, you're the branches, you're supposed to bear fruit. This word Ayin Pei has to do with the word to fly or to spread a wing. Pei Zadi is a word that means to open mouth. Zadi is a picture of the resurrection. And the mouth that opens here is not only his words, but it is that tomb. So something about that he is put down in here, and he said if the seed falls into the ground and dies, it'll then sprout back to life and turn into a plant that puts out all kinds of seeds. It'll multiply. There's something about what he built, which is the multiplication thing, and this has to do with, you might say, diversifying. I'm trying to go fast here, but he accomplished something between here and here where he's in the tomb. And then the tomb opens up and throws him back out. Kuf is to arise. Remember, he came out 40 days later and he ascended into heaven. The disciples, the Talmudim, were looking, and the angel came and said that, hey, he's going to come back the same way. So this letter Kuf is to arise up into the heavens, but then at a certain time, gathering his friends from the heavens and come back to the same place he lifted off from. Resh Shin Tav, as we said, Rashat means net, trap, or snare, or to gather up. Kuf is a picture, looks like a sickle for harvesting, and he's going to gather up who? His betrothed. The word Aleph, Resh Shin Tav, or Aleph Resh Shin is to betroth. Tav puts it into the tense of future or past. So he's going to gather up those who are his betrothed and take them to the place, just like in the movie we were watching. That's Yeshua's stuff. The 22 letters. The crux of the matter is these two letters right here in the middle. Kaf, Lamed. It means the word all. He will contain it all. He will contain what all? Kersey Graves wrote a book called The World's 16 Crucified Saviors. hundreds of years before Yeshua ever walked the earth, there was apparently 16 other guys in other cultures that could tell this same story. Supposedly, they came from heaven to earth, born of a virgin, lived to be about 30 years old, had 12 disciples. They were crucified, rose from the dead in 3 days, ascended up, said they're coming back, and that they will reward their faithful adherents and punish their enemies. But that's not the story of Jesus Christ. That's the story of 16 other religious leaders, all who came before Jesus Christ. When Kersey Graves saw this, he went ballistic. He said, we've been lied to. The Christian message of the New Testament is hogwash. It's all just refigured paganism. So why do I say this is Yeshua? What's the difference between Jesus and Yeshua? If Jesus Christ or any of his followers that he commissions breaks this Torah, he invalidates himself. If we go out as Yahweh's Zavot, his deputies, his ambassadors, his legions, and if we break this Torah, how is this the Torah? We talked about it before. Lamed means teach and learn. Lamed is, or Kaf is the open hand of lines of instruction. And in the pattern of the Mishkan pattern, Kaf and Lamed line up with the barbecue grill. Lines. Right inside the big white fence, which lines up with Het Tet Yod. Het Tet Yod Kaf Lamed. You choose life, you come into the kingdom, and the first thing you do, it was right inside the gate. It wasn't set back, it was right inside the gate. As soon as you choose life, you come into and you learn the instructions of the Torah. If this lines up with Yod, this is his kingdom. This is not just a tomb, this is his castle walls. You come into his kingdom and you learn the Hey, the expression of the Torah, which the Vav man, lining up with Mem Nun, where'd you come from? What's going on here? He came in the flesh, born of a virgin, born in a womb, to come and walk the earth, having given himself a foot to be here amongst his people. And then the second Hey, doing Somikai and Pei, which lines up with Micah 6:8. He has shown you, O man, what is good and Yahweh requires of you. Do justly, picture of the Psalmic, balance scales, the way we are the branches bearing his fruit. Love mercy, the ayin, looking out for one another and implementing forgiveness to each other, which is good fruit. There's more to this. And walking humbly with your Elohim, lining up with the Pei. These line up with the festivals of Yom Teruah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. We are here at Sukkot, mouth things, eating, laughing, singing, talking, teaching, yawning with too many words for too late. What I'm saying, it's like the whole kingdom is here. This is the Torah. Yeshua has to be the guy. He will contain it all. That's what the word Yod Kaf Lamed means. He, this guy that was put into the tomb, this guy that Pilate identified, this guy who came in disguise, this guy who said, first person self-referential, coming from heavens to the earth, I'm going to do this, and he contained it all. And because he contained it all, he will prevail to resurrect, rise up, and come back as the King of Kings, the head, the Resh man, the exalted one. Therefore, I can feel confident that if Jesus Christ changed any of the Torah, he ain't the Messiah. If Jesus Christ tells his followers and his preachers and his prophets and his apostles to do away with these words, he can't be HaMashiach. But because Yeshua is the guy identified by these 22 letters, I can feel confident that every word of this Torah, rightly appropriated, rightly translated, rightly implemented, is him. So therefore, if anybody has a problem with the teachings of JC, they're not the same thing as the teachings of Yeshua. Because even Yeshua in the book of Revelation says, any man who creates, perpetuates, those are two actions of the same verb, any man who promotes falsehood has no place in my kingdom is the Christian church perpetuating falsehood. The Catholics proudly claim to have changed the Shabbat from the first day, or from the seventh day to the first day. They say so. They say, we have authority in our mouth to supersede the authority of written Scripture. Yeshua said, it is written. Where was it written? In the Torah, the Kaf Lamed. They say, the sign that we are the powerful ones, we changed even the written script spoken from the mouth of Elohim with his finger on the tables of stone. We changed the day from the seventh day and declared it to be the first day. And when Martin Luther was put on trial, he said, show me where it's written, where I'm wrong, where I made a mistake, and I will recant. Their answer was, by the same authority that we changed the day from the seventh to the first, we tell you to recant because we say so. And Martin Luther said, well, I can't do that. I can't recant then. Bam! The Reformation was on, right there. But then, as we saw in the movie, Martin Luther kind of spun out with attitudes, and here we are today. So if Yeshua has his emissaries change the day, it's not Yeshua. It's known as Jesus Christ. Yeshua is the one who doesn't change the Torah. So there's then something about the Moedim, the festivals. The Christian church refuses to acknowledge the Moedim of Yahweh. Why? We saw it on the film. Quotes from numerous church leaders from the 1st and 2nd centuries, and John Calvin himself, and Martin Luther himself. They read quotes. They don't hold to the Moedim. Here's the Moedim. These three Het Yod line up with Passover. These two line up with unleavened bread. These two line up with the laver, which has to do with Shavuot, Yom Teruah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and the Zadi Shemini Atzeret. There's the Moedim. There's the letters. There's the Mishkan. There's his pattern. There's his identity. And when you take away Passover to Shemini Atzeret, that's what the church has done.
Got it.
Who is he? Oh yeah, he came down here. What did he say? Oh, well, he's coming back, you know. That's what they've got left. This stuff is very important. I'm trying to show you in the Aleph Bet who is Yeshua. Every letter describes him and what he stands for. And his people, his Zavot, must be according to the Zadi Bet, the standing confirmed place where he has consolidated his entire identity. And then as we promote his cause, his kingdom reigns. It's not even something we have to pray, oh, may it happen. We make it happen by doing what he said to do. And standing for what he said to stand for. The word shomer means watch, keep, guard, observe. And then there's this picture of removing the dregs from wine, or removing the sediment out of your coffee cup if you got some nice Cuban coffee like what Jeremiah made the other day. It's getting the sludge out so we have the pure stuff. That's the word shomer. Oh, we don't know the right calendar. We don't know the right way to pronounce his name. That's okay. Watch, keep, guard, and remove the dregs. Nobody's condemning anybody. The only condemnation is if you rearrange his face. There's a word that says, another part of the story, where Yahweh talks about having his face rearranged. And he's pretty outraged about that. And the word face is pei, nun, yod. The thing that jumps out of my mouth and makes something happen, that's a word. To rearrange his words is to rearrange his face, make him look like some distorted clown, instead of the face that he presented, which is these 22 letters. Is it simple? Is it clear? Is it comprehensible?
Yeah. What's that word?
What's this word? How do you pronounce that? Jim?
Yeah, you go ahead. I can't do that.
In Hebrew, in English, this is A, B, C, D. In English, we stick these E sounds at the end of them. But in Hebrew, it would be I don't know how to write. Ba. You could say there's the letter A. Ga. Kind of like da, right? You just give the sound. Abagada havazachataya kalamana sachafat sakarashata. Abagada havaza kalamana sachafat. You can turn it into any tune you want.
Sure.
So that's the Word made flesh. Yahweh invents this Word. Through this Word, He projects His Abba. And here's the clue. The word is Elohim, but it's with Elohim. To be is Aleph. To be with is Bet. So the word is the Aleph Bet. It's a clue right there in the first sentence of the word. He creates the Aleph Bet, and through the Aleph Bet, He projects His will, which is Ava, Aleph Bet Hey, and then the entire cosmos exists. And then the word jumps into itself and becomes human, the name Yahusha, which is every letter of this word in human form. And He says, hey, look. And He points back to the Father through this word. Because it's through this word that we see the manufacturer of the word. We see Abba, we see His face in looking at this word. Because it is Him and it's with Him. It is Him and it's with Him. The word with, that is a prefix, is the word with. He who is invisible is made visible by this word. He who is unfathomable, He's so big and vast and huge and we can't put Him in any container, has put Himself into the container of this word. And then this word put itself into the container of Yeshua, the man walking amongst us. And Yeshua didn't say, worship me. He said, worship the Father. He says, I'm going back, Kuf. I'm going back to my Father and your Father, my Elohim and your Elohim. And when I come back, He, our Father, has given me all power and eminence over all the adversaries. Sheen, teeth and fire of El Shaddai. Resh, the pinnacle, the highest, the best, the topmost. Tav, and this is the sworn covenant deal. This is absolute. You can count on this. So why is it that any of Yehudim who regard these letters as coming from heaven can't see that this is the Mashiach they've been waiting for? And if they say, well, the Mashiach isn't a person come from heaven, it's the golden age of the restoration of the kingdom. Okay, then let's all walk together. It says that one day they'll see a man of Yehudi, and they'll say, let us walk together, for we have heard God is with you. It says, because Shemanu Elohim Amcham, we hear, we pay attention to Elohim in league with you. Amcham is in league with you. So there we've been given a translation where somebody's going to, so regard the Jews as if they're different. But what the verse really says is we will walk together because we Shema Elohim in league together. Shemanu Elohim Amcham. We Shema Elohim together. That's the reconfederation of the tribes of Israel. Any other questions or comments? Nope? Okay. Shalom.
Shalom.